It's been all over the news. I wish it was under better circumstances, but hey, all news is good news, right? All publicity is good news. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, guys, today we're going to talk about if you are an evil person for owning UNH stock. We will talk if it's a good dividend stock, and we will also talk about their recent CEO assassination. Now, to start off with, United Health Group is a super large company based out of Minnesota, where it is ice cold right now, similar to how ice cold UNH is to its customers. Now, UNH, they make money two primary ways. The first one is that United Health Group sells health insurance to individuals, families, and businesses. When you buy a health insurance plan, you pay a monthly premium. In return, they help cover your medical expenses like doctor's visits, prescriptions, hospital stays, etc. Now, this is what they call the health insurance premiums. The more people they insure, the more premiums they collect, the more money UNH makes. Now, they also make money by offering services to other healthcare providers and businesses through Optum. This is part of their business that makes money by offering things like medical advice, pharmacy services, and managing healthcare data. Now, they charge other healthcare providers for these services, and they also help manage drug prescriptions and healthcare costs for these insurance clients. So, guys, two main ways that they make money: their actual health insurance and then their business services. So, let's go through what they're doing today, right? So, UNH stock, couple days for them, down 10% in the last 2 days, really 10% in the last 5 days overall. So we look at some recent news. They're doing pretty good, right? Their third quarter revenues reached $101 billion. That is incredible. In 90 days, they made over $1 billion a day. That is a 9% increase, and that's because of their Optum Health and Optum prescriptions showing robust financial health. They're also involved in leveraging AI. If you think United Health Group is the devil, well, they're continuing to do ungodly work with AI. It's improving efficiencies, patient outcomes, according to them. All right, guys, when we look at their financials, this is a fantastic financial statement. Look at this, guys. 10 years ago in December 2014, they were making $115 billion. Every single year, they just continue to make more and more money in revenues. Now, of course, we want to believe that this is all because of ethical business practices, but when you're making this much money, you might start to be doing some shady stuff. But from a purely investor standpoint, they have just exploded in revenue growth. The last 12 months, they have made over $305 billion. That is so much more than they were making 10 years ago. This is also reflected in their earnings per share. You can see it went from $5.78 10 years ago to all the way up to $15.53 today. All right, guys, one more thing I wanted to show you guys is their shares outstanding. In 2006, they had 1.3 billion shares outstanding. That number today has basically been cut in half by about 400 million shares. 1.3 to 900 million. Now, shares outstanding, it's actually a good thing to see the number drop. That means you're getting a bigger piece of the pie. You're getting more equity when you buy shares of UNH. Companies often buy back shares if they have the money to do so and if they think their company is trading at a discount to its actual intrinsic value. So very good news right here. And then, of course, UNH is a big dividend paying stock. Let's go through how they're doing here, guys. So they've been not only paying dividends, but increasing their dividends for a very impressive 14 years. It's a pretty good streak. We've had some tough times in there. 5-year growth rate of 15%. That is very impressive. Imagine getting a 15% raise at your work every single year. Some of you guys might be lucky. This is the time that you guys might get your annual pay raise at your 9 to 5. If you've been a good little boy, good little girl, you might get a 3% raise, a pat on the back. But that's about it. UNH, you get 15% raise for doing absolutely nothing. A very healthy payout ratio of just 30%, so plenty of room to continue to grow that dividend in the future. UNH, long overdue for a stock split, paying out $8.40 a share. A super low dividend yield of 1.45%, but a good dividend investor knows It's dividend growth investing that really makes millionaires. It's the stocks that continuously are raising their dividend aggressively every year. Those are the ones that are really going to make people rich over time. A 15% growth rate every single year in terms of that dividend is fantastic. Let's just look at that dividend history one more time here, guys. So they've paid out quarterly dividends. You can see over time it just continues to increase. Let's actually start at the bottom here. So 2001, they paid their first dividend. It was an annual dividend every single year until the 2010s. They started making it a quarterly dividend, and it used to be just 12 cents a share. It has ballooned every single year, just continues to go up all the way up to $2.10. Expect another dividend increase here on the horizon. For me personally, I've been a UNH shareholder since 2019. I'm about to hit 6 years of owning UNH. And yes, I currently own around $5,200 worth of UNH. It makes up about 2.6% of my portfolio, and I've made around $2,000 in capital gain. That's been taking a little bit of a beating these last couple days, but hey, still making a ton of money. When we look at that yield on cost here, guys, over time, if you had just held on to your shares, those that held on over 10 years ago, guys, now making almost 8% on their shares. So even though you might get a 1.45% starting yield today, just hold on to those shares. Just continue to collect all the dividends, and good things will happen. This isn't even counting the amazing capital appreciation that's happened. 10 years just owning this, you would have gotten a 50% return on your money every year. Absolutely absurd. Amazing dividend paying stock here for sure. All right, now we need to get into why they've really been on the news. So guys, lately I've been feeling a little guilty. You see, making record profits every single quarter, it generally comes with some cost. You often have to screw over humans to prioritize profits. Lots of Americans, they're frustrated with their health insurance providers. Only 68% of people who are in poor health say they have a positive view on their insurance provider. That's not a very high number. Now, apparently UnitedHealth Group, they've been notorious for not paying claims, leaving patients on the hook. So paying premiums every month, but when you actually need them to come in clutch, come in handy, they don't actually do anything. And I can see why that might make people very, very mad. I mean, healthcare in the United States is ridiculously overpriced. It doesn't make any sense. The system is broken. Now, you've already heard all the news about their CEO, Brian Thompson. He was assassinated in New York City on the way to an Investor Day presentation. The assassin, who is still on the run at the time of this recording, they don't actually even know his name. He left the words deny, defend, and depose written on the shell casings found at the shooting scene. Now, these are words that seem to echo the title of a 2010 book, Delay, Deny, Defend, which is all about insurance companies not paying claims. This was obviously a very targeted attack. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a person or a group that's been screwed over by UNH in the past. Now, you would think that people would be sympathetic that a person was just shot dead in cold blood on a public street. He leaves behind a wife and 2 kids, but no. Go on any news article, comments, YouTube comments, Reddit forums, and you see nothing but overwhelming support for the shooter. It's quite crazy how many people are glorifying vigilante justice. It really reminds me of the movie Joker, when people attack a lot of the rich people and they're killed with the motto that they get what's coming to them. Go to any YouTube video, just type in anything that has to do with the UNH CEO being murdered. You'll see that there's way more dislikes than likes, and every single comment is basically in support of the shooter. The story gets better coverage than my healthcare. New York would have no murders if they worked every case like this. Is it because he was rich and other victims are not? I mean, that's a good point. Like, this has been getting nonstop news coverage. It's probably getting a ton of police resources. The FBI is involved. Where's this presence when ordinary BIPOCs are getting murdered every day on the street? Where's this presence when poor people get shot and killed every single day? They don't get this type of investigation. What makes this so different? It says, at this point, he is under every citizen's protection. No one will turn him in. This got 370 upvotes. All these comments are in support of the assassin. So why is New York City all of a sudden concerned about a murder? Pathetic and disrespectful to all the other unsolved murders in New York City that nobody ever cared about. What about this one, guys? If they catch him, good luck finding an unbiased jury that hasn't been gouged by healthcare insurance. This also got me thinking. It's one thing to identify this person. It's another thing to catch him. At the time of this recording, they don't think he's in New York City anymore. He could be anywhere. Imagine he goes to a place like Brazil, North Korea. Okay, I don't think he's going to go to North Korea, but like Brazil, Cuba, places where they don't have treaties to extradite you back to the United States if you were a criminal. So that's potentially a way he could escape justice. But also think about this. Say he does get caught. What if he has a jury trial? It only takes one person to not vote guilty, and it could end in a hung jury. Like, there's a very serious chance, even if he got caught, people would be so fed up with the system, they'd let him walk. It's crazy how much support he's getting. And it makes you wonder, as the gap between rich and poor grows, and this is only becoming more and more of a problem, this type of behavior might become more and more common. I'm just very surprised that the CEO of a company like this would walk freely with no security detail. And I want to be clear, just because I saw a lot of people getting this wrong. This gentleman, Brian Thompson, he was actually the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. He wasn't the CEO of its parent company, United Health Group. That CEO is still alive. Yes, rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated. Now, on the official Facebook post about Thompson's death from United Health Group, the parent company of UnitedHealthcare, most people reacted with a laughter emoji. Out of approximately 40,000 reactions on the post, 35,000 of them were a ha-ha emoji, and only 2,200 were a sad emoji. All right, let's move on to the next part of this. Do I feel bad for being a shareholder all these years? Do I feel bad that I profited off a company that may have given a lot of other people trouble? Like most things in life, the answer isn't yes or no. It depends. Was I the one who directly told UNH to deny people's insurance claims? Did I tell them that your Aunt Agnes, she couldn't get that hip replacement because it hurt UNH's bottom line? I bought UNH all those years ago because I predicted they would rapidly continue to gain market share. Insurance is often a very profitable business because you collect more money than you pay out. You buy health insurance companies because basically every human needs healthcare. There's a lot of people paying in. Governments often subsidize some of it, and it can often be very contractual based, so guaranteed revenues. There's a reason why Warren Buffett loves insurance companies. It's a winning business model. And then there's all the stuff that I mentioned at the start of this video. It's a big dividend payer. And from a strictly financial perspective, they have done very well. That's not to say that they clearly haven't done a lot of shady stuff in the past. But I also want to argue this point. What about all those insurance claims that get processed every day that are successful? What about all those people's lives that were enhanced by United Health Group? If you do a lot of good things and some bad, what do you get remembered for? And of course, in situations like this, it's usually people that make the loudest noise that get front page attention. There's probably a lot of people that are also very disgusted in this vigilante justice that just aren't saying anything. Again, there's really no right or wrong answer here. I'm also creating a lot of whataboutism arguments. Most people, they usually have some skeletons. What about all those tobacco companies that are allowed to exist? Why are Coca-Cola and McDonald's allowed to sell fatty food? Does this mean because they've done some evil things that, their whole executive board is now just free range? Like, where does this end? Is this going to be a common thing now? It was reported the shooter stopped at a Starbucks prior to the execution. So does that mean all Starbucks shareholders are guilty of accessory to murder now? I don't know, guys. There's really no right or wrong answer. At the end of the day, this is a very perplexing case. One on human nature and emotions, and hopefully a reform of our very broken healthcare system. I don't know what the assassin's motive was, but clearly this has sparked a lot of conversation. Like, I wouldn't be making this video if he didn't do what he did. A lot of people would have probably glanced over this had it not been a high-profile CEO. Now, for all of you who still think I'm evil for owning UNH, let me just show you something. If I go to the top holdings of SPY, this is an S&P 500 index ETF. It just buys the 500 biggest companies in the world. This is one of the most popular ETFs owned by Americans, by people in the world, And look at what their number 13th largest holding is. It's a company called UnitedHealth Group. They own 11 million shares of this company. It makes up 1% of the portfolio. As I showed you guys before, UNH has done very well. So that's going to mean that SPY also did very well, the whole 1% of it. So this is something that's owned by millions of Americans. It's owned in pensions. It's owned in retirement funds. Anybody that owns SPY, that means you too have profited off of a company that might not always be super ethical. And in fact, they own 500 different companies. It's very possible all 500 of these have done some shady stuff. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case, your thoughts about UNH stock in the comments below. Again, there is no right or wrong answer. Just let me know what you're thinking.